properties that we have in Flexbox. BEM methodology. The BEM, which stands for block element modifier. Okay, block element modifier. So it's a naming convention and organizational approach for writing maintainable and scalable CSS. It helps developers create reusable components and avoid conflicts in styles by following a clear logical structure for naming CSS classes. So let's see what the BEM stands for. The first one, which is block, the B is block. So the parent container or standalone entity that represents a component. So the parent container or a standalone entity that represents a component. Example is a navigation bar or a button or a card. And then the class naming convention is block. So you can actually set the class name to block. Don't worry, I'm going to show us how to do that shortly. And the second part, which is the element. So the element is a child of the block. So the block here, the child of the block, representing a part or a piece of the component. Example, an item in a navigation bar, or the text in a button, or the title in a card. So the naming convention is block double underscore element. So we use double underscores to separate the block from the element. So block here is the block, okay, and then the element basically. So double underscore to separate them. Finally, we have the modifier. So modifier is a variation or state of the block or element, representing a change in the appearance, behavior, or state. Example, a disabled button or a highlighted navigation item. And the naming convention. So you can set a modifier on a block or an element, or the block or the element. So the naming convention for a modifier is block. So for a block, we use block, then double dash, okay, then followed by the modifier name. Or for an element, remember for elements, we use double underscore to separate block from an element, right? And then double dash, then the modifier name to specify the modifier for an element. So double dash indicates the modifier. So quickly, let me show look at this layout right here. Here is a card component, right? Here is a card component. So we can actually say the entire card is a block. So this card here is a block, and then card title. This card title here is an element inside the card block. This is a description of the card. It's another element. Then we have these two buttons, which are elements, okay, in the block or the card block. Now, modifier, where the modifier comes in is, look at these two buttons. These buttons, they take the same shape, right? This ellipse shape, but the difference between them is the background color and the text color. So here is the modifier. Remember, the modifier is actually the variation or the state. Sorry, should be great. So modifier a variation or states of the block or element, representing a change in appearance, behavior, or state. So what is actually changing in this element? What is changing in these two elements is the background color and the color. So we can consider it as a modifier. So quickly, let's see how we can create this small component here using the BEM methodology. So in the body, let's take a look at again. We have this card, okay? We have this card. So I can create a section for that, okay? Then after that, I can call this card title H2, and then this paragraph here, and then two buttons. So H2, card title, then followed by a paragraph. I think the description there is this is a description of the card. This is a description of the card. And then we have two buttons, primary action and secondary action. So button, primary action, secondary action. Great. So let's look at the output. So we have this, nothing special actually, just your normal HTML code. So now let's now see how we can use the BEM methodology for our classes. So back to the actual design. So the entire box here, the entire block here, right? I'm going to name it card, which is the block, the B part. Okay, block. I will name it card, which is this section. So this is the section here. I'll give class name of card. So card is the block. So take it back. Block again is the parent container or a standalone entity that represents a component. So here is a component. So I'm giving the class name of card. All right. I'll look at the example here. You see what? A navigation bar, a button, or a card. And then we use the block. So in this case, we are using card actually. Then element. Element is a child of the block representing a part or a piece of the container. So a child of the block representing a part or a piece. Someone is talking. Okay. Where are we, please? Okay. Element, a child of the block representing a part or a piece of the container. All right. And if I take it back the actual card component, these are the elements. The card title is an element of the card block. This paragraph here is an element of the card block. These two buttons are elements of the card block, right? So in that way, we have a convention of separating a block from an element, and we use double underscores to separate a block from an element. In our case, our block name here is card, right? So I can actually call this H2 here the title of the card block. So to separate the card or the block from the element, the way I'm going to name this class is going to be card double underscore title. Then for this element here, I will say what? Card double underscore description. Description. You can see how I'm coming up with a more descriptive name. You don't need to cram it, you don't need to look for it. Just look for a more descriptive name. So you can actually say this is the title, right? Title of the card. Okay, card title, card description. Then I can give this card double underscore BTN, which is actually short for button. Okay, so card BTN, this guy right here is also a card BTN, card BTN. Great. So now to style it in my CSS, I'm going to use internal CSS. Internal CSS. This is my code formatter. Do I need that? Okay, great. I mean, if you actually look at the output now, nothing is going to change. All we've done so far is to just give each of the elements a class name. But this time around, we are using a particular method. We are using a particular methodology, which is the BEM, the block, elements, and modifier. But so far, we have only specified the block elements. But let's start it first, and then I'm going to show us how we can use the modifier. So the first thing we need to do is for the block, we have this border, and I think there is a box shadow that is going on here. Okay, border and a box shadow that is going on. So back to the design. In the style, we have the card, which is a container. Card. What I'm going to do first is reset the border. One pixel. Solid. Going to use this color. Let's see what's going on. BAM. Okay, so I would like to pad it. I think there should be space inside the box. So I will pad it, padding of maybe 20 pixels. Okay, not bad. Great. Then next is this element. Okay, maybe I would like to give it a margin to the bottom, reduce the margin to the bottom to 10. So that's the card title exactly. So card double underscore title, I will set margin bottom to 10 pixels. Great. And then for the paragraph, if you look at it right here, I think the color is not totally dark, right? There is a shade of gray that is going on here. And then I think there is margin to the bottom as well. So our paragraph is dark here. So, and we've given our paragraph a class name of card underscore double underscore description. Card double underscore description. Of course, we need the dot operator because it is a class name. Underscore description. So first, I would like to change the color to this, and then margin bottom to 20 pixels. Save this to the browser. Then we should have this. Okay, great. Then for the button, if you look at the final design, we have this ellipse shape, and there is no border basically. All right. So, and then we have padding inside the button. And if you look at ours right here, the padding is not that much. So let's see how we can do that. And then we have given it a class name as well, right? Card underscore btn. So card double underscore btn. First thing, I don't want the border, so I'll set border none. Let's see that first. Border none. Great. So if you look at our button, we don't have border. And I would like to pad it. Padding maybe 10 pixels, 20 pixels. Again, please, or go watch the session on the CSS box model. I've actually explained how to use this padding shorthand property. So like this one, I've set two values, 10 pixels, 20 pixels, which means 10 pixels goes to the top and bottom of the box, and then 20 goes to the left and right. All right, save. If I take it to the browser and refresh, so you see we have enough padding. And then for the ellipse shape, you can use border radius. So border radius of 100 pixels give us that particular shape. I refresh now. Okay, great. So we have the shape. So now the modifier. So this is now where the modifier comes in, because we have the same shape but different background color and different text color for the buttons, right? So for the modifier, from the explanation, I mentioned that we use double dashes to indicate a modifier, right? A variation of states of a block or element representing a change in the appearance, behavior, or state. So the buttons, they take the same shape, but they have different appearance in terms of background color and text color. So for the modifier, right, I'm going to use card double underscore button, then primary. So to introduce primary, all I need is double dashes, right? Then followed by primary. So I will first style it. Yeah. So card double underscore btn. That's for element, right? So the block, the element, now the modifier dash dash primary, right? So for the background color, there's a particular hexadecimal code that I use there, which is 450 exactly, and then color white. Come on, color white. And then for the secondary modifier, The background color there is this hexadecimal code E3, and then same color as our paragraph 666. 666 basically. Alright, 666. So I'm going to get this and place it on the primary. Oh, that's the first button. Copy. I'll copy this and then set it as the second class for the first button. So for the first button, I'm going to dump it right there. Mind you, there's a space between the first class name and second class name, please. So card dump orders for btn, card dump orders for btn dash primary. So here is the modifier. So back to the browser, this is our design actually. If I refresh now, great, we have this. Then for the secondary now, I'm going to copy that as well because I don't want to make any mistake. I'm going to copy, and then dump the modifier right here. Save. Back to the browser. Then refresh. Look at it here. So same button but different modifiers basically. So just as I mentioned, this is just a way of showing us how to use the BEM methodology, the block, element, and modifier.